your son is deceased. And your oldest is deceased. But listen to Lauren.
Oh my God, Savannah. David was so sweet. He was so gentle. I didn't say goodnight to him.
Friends, this is Cynthia Mohney. On October the 17th, 2014, she went to a house. She saw her 3 kids had been shot and her husband was lying on the floor. So we're going to start this police interview. She's going to describe what the relationship was like with her husband.
We're in the middle of a divorce. I can't leave the house because I pay all the bills. I just put him through a doctorate program. He just finished Palmer a year and a half ago, but I made so much money he didn't want to work.
Okay.
He'd filed for divorce. I wanted me to stop it. I said no. He put an injunction on me back in June. If you look it up, and you can look it up.
All right.
And the injunction was dismissed. It was for hitting my son once when my son told me he didn't have to listen to me. And I backhanded him on the chest. Well, Judge Breeze signed the injunction for that, and then it was dismissed. And we continued on with the divorce proceedings.
All right.
I was living in the upstairs bedroom upstairs.
Right.
I had to keep working to pay all the bills.
All right.
He still wasn't working after a year and a half.
Can I ask you to stand up? I'm going to photograph your feet and your arms.
I was upstairs and he said, "You need to come and look at David. I think he's sick." And I said, "Well, like he's throwing up?" And he says, "Well, come look, he's breathing funny." And boom, I got down to the bottom of the stairs. I saw the gun in his hand. And he said, "Walk the other way." Meaning David was in the master bedroom and he wanted me to walk towards the kitchen. And he said, "We're going to have a talk." He said, "David's not sick." He said, "I'm done with this, Cindy." He said, "You're going to stop this divorce." He says, "You're going to quit your job in the ER. We're going to move. You're going to call your family and tell them everything's okay. We're going to get rid of your cell phone. We're going to go to Verizon and get a new phone." And he just kept listing all the things. "You're going to go close the separate bank account because since the separation of the divorce, of course, I got a separate cell phone because he'd been looking into my cell phone. He was into my emails. It's a 25-year marriage. He's always been very controlling, very angry. I knew to be scared of him. I knew. Mr. Al across the street had the gun. And I told Mr. Al, "You cannot give that gun back to him." So I wasn't really, he seemed okay. A couple nights ago, he mentioned, "I'm not handling this well." He had his retirement from the military, but he was never ever looking for a job now that he'd finished chiropractor school. He wasn't doing anything, and we were still moving towards a divorce, and that's what I wanted. I knew I could do it by myself because I'd been doing it by myself for 6 years. I'd been paying all the bills. I'd been doing everything.
So he said, "Come down and let's see. Come down and see your son." And your son's name is
David.
No.
But that wasn't the reason why he wanted me down. He wanted me down because he said, "I've been up all night and this is going to end." He said, "This is going to end bad." He said, "You're either going to do everything I say and you're going to stop this and we're going to live the rest of our lives together and we're going to have a normal family and the kids want a normal Thanksgiving and they want a normal Christmas." He said, "Or I'm going to kill the kids and you're going to live with it for the rest of your life." Then he put the gun on the kitchen counter and we kept talking. And I took one of the dogs as an excuse to get outside, like I was going to let him outside. And I unlocked the side door that you come into the kitchen and he followed me out. So then at least I was outside and the talking continued, but I could watch Mr. Allen. I knew he gets up really early in the morning. So we kept talking out there. In the process, he hit me.
What did he hit you with?
His fist, his hand. And
did he?
Oh, I think then I knew I was in trouble.
Had he ever hit you before?
Yeah, 25 years ago, though. I mean, a long time ago. He'd always used his size and his anger to intimidate me. But he's verbally abusive in that he would threaten me frequently.
What's the catalyst or the reason behind the divorce?
I had an affair.
Mm-hmm.
A short affair. It was right at the time, though, that he filed for divorce. I was unhappy. I just used it as a reason to get out of the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a 25-year marriage. I've been unhappy for 15 years of it.
Okay.
But I had small kids.
Right. So, did the has the hostilities in your marriage escalated since he found out about the affair? Was there counseling? Was there something that could de-escalate this that you all went to? I'm trying to understand. I get the fact, okay, there was an affair. He's mad.
It was a short affair.
Right.
We're talking 3 months.
Mm-hmm. How long ago was this?
April, May.
Okay.
March, April, May, maybe.
So since learning about that, when he learned about it, I'm sure he went through the roof.
He not like I thought he would.
Okay.
What he did do was he had my son go into my cell phone and copy some texts that were between me and the other man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a physician and ER doc that I worked with, and
Mm-hmm.
He contacted his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And the two of them had been talking on and off for the last couple of months. They're currently in the middle of a divorce. I ended the relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
I was no longer seeing him. I was moving on with the divorce, getting my life together, figuring out what I was going to do.
Does he suffer from PTSD or anything?
No, he was never deployed.
Never deployed.
No, he suffers from...
It's okay.
You'd have to talk to a counselor. We went to marriage counseling for a while during the divorce. He wasn't going to change at 52. He was insecure. He was hostile. He was controlling. He was manipulative.
Cindy, what I'm trying to get to is he's mad because of the affair. You go to counseling, the whole situation, you think or believe that it's kind of de-escalated with the hostilities. And
it was fine. We go to the soccer games together. He wanted to go out to dinner last night as a family, all of us together. The only reason and I said, sure, that's fine. I mean, I don't want to give the kids false hope, but we can all do family things together.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him over and over, please, I just want an amicable divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be able to see the kids at the soccer games and see you and not be fighting. And he kept dragging the kids into the divorce. I mean, they knew about shit little kids shouldn't even know about. But everything was functioning as normal. I was working yesterday. I took my daughter dress shopping and her best friend. She had time trials yesterday. She ran 2 miles in 12 minutes and 40 seconds.
Well, do you know if he had the gun at that point?
Well, no, but he must have, because I wasn't all the way down the stairs when he waved it, and he had it in his right hand, and he waved it, and I saw it, and I thought, where did he get the gun? Because I knew he owned a gun, but Mr. Al was supposed to have it. I had told Mr. Al when the divorce started, you cannot give him back the gun. I'm going to the bedroom because I think David's sick, and he waves it and he says, no, David's not sick. Go this way. We're going to talk, pointing towards the kitchen. And that's when he starts waving the gun in front of my face. And he said, this is going to end bad. He said, we're either going to be a normal family and you're going to stop this divorce. He says, or I'm going to kill your 3 kids. He said, and you're going to live with it. I didn't believe him. I mean, the kids are sleeping. He said, I have nothing to live for. I'm 52 years old. All I have is my pension. You're the woman I've always loved. We're going to be a normal family. We're going to have a normal Thanksgiving and a normal Christmas. And then he started telling me what I was going to do, which is his That was the reason why.
What
Okay,
did
so
he
you
say
got-
on that? What did he tell you?
You're not going to work in the ER anymore because he was an ER doctor. You're going to quit your job. We're going to go to Verizon tomorrow and you're going to get rid of your phone. You're going to go to the bank and you're going to take all the money out that you've been hiding. And I said, hiding? I'm paying all the bills. I'm not hiding money. He said, you're going to take all the money. We're going to open up a new joint account. It's just going to be mine and yours. He says, you're going to call your family and you're going to tell them everything's fine. You're going to stop this divorce. He says, and then we're moving.
Mhm.
He says, we are not staying here in Port Orange.
Okay. What did you say to these things?
I didn't. Okay, I'm thinking, oh my God, what the fuck am I gonna do? I mean, this is bad. I mean, this is not normal. He's got a gun. This is not normal. But he was talking so rational. He wasn't high. He wasn't low. I mean, I work in the emergency room. I see psych patients. I take care of them. I Baker Act them. I put them in Stuart Marchman. All I kept thinking was to get outside because if I got Mr. Al, he would help me.
That's her describing the relationship. She's now going to talk about the actual incident where her children were shot. But let me tell you some information that came out. It was said that David was controlling and jealous. Cynthia was at times stumbling drunk. She often beat her 3 children when under the influence. There was a child welfare report where the younger children said they're afraid of their mother when she is drinking. She is not at fault for what happened to her children, but it's important to add the full context. She'll now tell you what happened and then I'll come back at the end with the full welfare report.
What took you from the kitchen to outside?
I wanted to get outside because I wanted to get Mr. Al. So I pretended like the dog needed to go out and I took the dog by the collar, unlocked the door because I knew I couldn't run if the door was locked. So he just followed behind me. He probably is thinking, I guess we're just going to talk. So he leaves the gun on the counter.
Okay. So now you're out in the driveway?
He kind of, yeah, where the cars are parked.
Okay.
And I'm leaning up against the car and we continue our conversation.
What was said?
Pretty much the same thing, that you're my fucking wife and that's my pussy. That's exactly what he was saying. And you're not going to be with another man. You're going to make everything all right. You're going to, stay married to me. Just him, how he is.
Okay. And is that when you smirked? Well, I'm trying to understand how it is. I mean, you've got a busted lip. So I'm trying to understand how we get to the point that he is.
I ran. And when I ran, he went back in the house. Yeah. And by the time I got to Mr. Al's, I heard the first gunshot. My God, I never thought he could hurt the kids. Why would you hurt the kids?
So you went to Mr. Al's, banging.
Oh, banging because it was dark and I couldn't see the doorbell. So I'm just banging and screaming.
All right.
Did Mr. Al go with you?
The door. No, he wouldn't even leave his fucking front porch. And it was quiet and now it was dark and there was nothing and there'd been gunshots and I knew, well, why weren't the kids getting up? They would have heard the gunshots.
Did you hear additional gunshots?
Yes.
Where were you at when you heard those?
Over Mr. Al's, and I was telling him, oh my God, there's gunshots, please. He had locked the side door behind him. I couldn't get back in it. The garage door was open. That door was unlocked.
Okay.
And I was scared. I kept saying, Dave, please, please, I'm sorry, Dave, please, 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 I'm sorry, Dave, please. And I pushed the door open and I saw him laying there. Now, I don't have my contacts in, so I don't see very well. But I knew it was him. And I knew his respirations weren't normal. He was snoring. And there was a lot of blood on the floor. So I knew he was down. Mm-hmm. So I ran through the house looking for the kids. Mm-hmm. No, I ran outside screaming to Mr. Al, please come help me. Please come help me. Come help me get the kids. I ran and unlocked the front door, ran out to say, Al, please come help me. I want to get the kids out. And I didn't want them to see their dad on the kitchen floor. So I thought, I'm going to go wake them up and bring them down and sneak them out the front door and they'll never see their dad on the kitchen floor. Mr. Al wouldn't come. So I went to get the kids myself.
Where did you go first?
I never saw my son. Upstairs to my daughter's, Savannah, her bedroom, and she wasn't in it, and it was 4:30, and she should still be asleep at 4:30. So I got to the bathroom into Lauren's room. There was so much blood. They were both laying on the floor. Oh my God. Lauren wasn't, she was barely breathing. He shot him in the head.
Oh,
Savannah. Oh my God. How could you shoot your kids? How could you shoot your kids? They were just to the left side of his head. I peeked over. I don't have my contacts in. That's blurry. I don't even know what that is.
Okay. That's
You're a little bit blurry.
okay.
I am pretty blind.
Okay.
I knew his breathing wasn't right. I leaned over enough because I was scared. I couldn't tell if that was really a body or not. I mean, I didn't know. Was that the part of the carpet that I was seeing? Then I heard the breathing, and the blood seemed to be to the other side of him. But I saw enough that I knew. And then what do I do for a living? I know, and I've heard that noise before. The respirations weren't normal. They were. It's almost like snoring. It's usually what you hear and see with a gunshot wound to the head.
Did you see a gun?
No, and I didn't look at that point. I just knew he was down, so I could get the kids.
Has Dave ever had any suspicious activity as far as you're concerned? I mean, he's home all day. What does he do?
That's what my mom keeps saying. When he finished at Palmer he graduated September of last year. And I'm still working really hard to keep everything going.
Mm-hmm.
And he started a body transformation where he would spend like 2 or 3 hours a day at the gym, get fit off Bevel. And he was like 240, 6'1". and he was spending a shitload of money. It was a constant, not fighting, but I was so resentful. I mean, I was working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to the gym. Oh, yeah. Oh, he says I did it for you. That was the big thing. How could you fucking have an affair on me? He said, when I'm finally a doctor and I have the best body I've ever had. You didn't get it? That was just an outside. I didn't like the person that he was. He was good to his kids. He loved his kids, but he was not a nice man. He was prejudiced. He was angry. He was just doing it himself. He was eating, low carb, high protein, a lot of protein powder, a lot of supplements. My mom said, I wonder if he's on testosterone. My mom's really smart. She's a retired nurse practitioner. Okay. She knows everything about my marriage and how unhappy I've been. Okay. And, she knows. So does my dad. I mean, my parents were also glad about his divorce.
Unfortunately, this is something that I need to tell you, but there could be hope. Okay, I have to. Your husband is deceased. Okay, your son is deceased, and your oldest is deceased. But listen, Lauren.
Oh my God, Savannah!
Let me talk to you about Lauren. Lauren's been flown to Arnold Palmer. Okay. We'll keep you updated as we go. Okay.
David was so sweet. He was so gentle. I didn't say goodnight to him. I didn't say goodnight to him.
You gotta stay strong for Lauren right now. Okay.
My attorney told me that Judge Breeze, who's retiring in December in 2 months, signs every injunction no matter what, because he thinks it gives the couple a cooling off period of a week. In my case, it was 2 weeks because the dockets were so full that I couldn't get my hearing for 2 weeks. So I missed all their last days of school in June, all their graduations, and then except for the note that I left them underneath their pillow, I couldn't explain anything to them.
But see, here's my question, and maybe you can educate me.
I found out a lot about it.
When, from my understanding, based on my experiences growing through everything I've gone through, which I was never married, but the mother is normally the primary person that kids are supposed to go with. Why did he choose dad? Because dad's not working?
I know that he chose dad. I think it was because his lawyer said, let's do an injunction against her and have her removed from the house. Once you're removed from the house.
How can you get an injunction if you've done nothing to support that?
Because he wrote out a 2-page thing about how I had slapped my son on the chest and then turned and slapped him. And my attorney laughed and said, this is not domestic violence.
Not at all.
Right.
No law enforcement was ever called.
Right. No. Well, and of course, and remember, an injunction is actually for when you're actually scared for your life. So this is a 6'1", 200-pound man. So my attorney said it was on a Thursday at 4:55 that maybe he was quick to get out of the office too. But it says he says he signs all of them.
Yeah.
So he's.
How long? So it was 2 weeks you had to be away from the house?
Went to a hotel and then called my family and my sisters.
Yeah.
My sister from Germany flew in from Germany.
Wow.
A very close
That's
family.
Good. No, I applaud that. That's awesome.
And then I stayed over at my mom's best friend and her husband on a beautiful home on the beach in Palm Coast. So I stayed there until my court date. And then we went and it was dismissed.
Who dismissed it?
Dave.
Really?
At the last minute.
And then you moved back in. Well, I say moved back in.
Then I showed back out that afternoon back to move into the house with my 2 sisters went with me. So the kids' 2 aunts came with me because 1, it was so flippin' uncomfortable, but 2, because they were coming for support.
Did you talk to them?
No, not like, no. It was, they were uncomfortable a little bit, but we all try to make it seem like normal. And we, my 2 sisters and I took the kids out for ice cream and then to the park. And that's, I think, when everybody realized that for the 2 weeks that I'd been gone, he had been filling their heads with.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, yeah, because my younger sister, had actually taped it on her phone. My 14-year-old saying, it's all your fault, Mom, all the things you've done. And, I said it didn't matter, but they were like, well, we might need it for the divorce because they were gearing up knowing how David is, that it was going to be a nasty divorce. But I couldn't leave the house because 1, the judge said I was still responsible for all the bills. And 2, I worked so much that if I had got a second apartment with a whole new set of bills, I'd never see them because I get home at 9:30 at night. Some nights I can spend an hour and a half with them before they go to bed. And that was, if I had an apartment, I was never going to see them. Unless my attorney said you can't give up possession of the house because then it looks like you've abandoned the house. Because remember, when you go to court, the judge is going to have to decide who gets the house. And even though he can't afford it, he still may get it. Because he could get child support because he could get the majority custody of the kids and you're paying him alimony. Well, between his retirement, alimony, and child support, he could keep that house going.
Yeah, but see, I don't understand why the judge didn't say
Nobody
anything about
understands.
about the money part. Why didn't
The
someone
money was
force him to
moved?
work?
Um,
You have to provide for your children. Why is it all being put on you?
because my attorney said I had set the precedence of allowing this to happen by allowing him to go
Okay.
to school. And then after he was done school, I allowed him to stay at home for a year. He said, so in that year that he stayed at home, he would take the kids to school and soccer and football. And so now he was the house husband. And because I had allowed that was me establishing him. So therefore I was responsible
Yeah.
for maintaining his
Bullshit.
lifestyle is what,
Sorry, but that's
Yeah.
bullshit. It's called what it is. If he's physically able to work,
physically, he's smart.
but it doesn't matter. He can provide for the family too.
He could have done something just so I didn't have to work.
Go to
so
Home Depot,
much.
like you said. Go to work at Home Depot. Work 4 hours a day. That's better than nothing.
He had a couple leads on some jobs in Orlando, and I said, well, okay, that sounds pretty good. He said, no, I'm not driving to Orlando every day. And I said, a lot of people drive to Orlando every day, especially if that's the only place they can get a job.
You tried Sanford over there.
He says, I'm not spending an hour and a half one way in the car. I figured when we go in front of the judge, if mediation
Yes,
wasn't
prove.
successful, he has to prove that at least he was looking, but he's not stupid. He'd be able to look, prove he was looking, come up with some bullshit. He was a really smart guy.
When you came home on Tuesday, you had said the house was all jacked up.
Oh, I just got angry.
But what was it all jacked up? I know you said laundry and the dishes, but was there stuff all over the house or?
I have a pet peeve about everybody leaving crap all over the kitchen counters. It's the first thing you see.
Mm-hmm.
And, everyone's homework was all out over the kitchen table, and there was cups and popcorn bag, and there was crumbs all over the kitchen counter, and there were, dishes, and the sink was full, and there was some dog hair along the side of the floor. And that's never how I kept my house. On my days off, I always
Spent
cleaned.
half the day cleaning.
Sure. And I said to him, well, you're not doing anything. I mean, you could have this place. I'm not asking you to do toilets or baseboards or windows. I said, just switch the laundry over, load the dishwasher, and run the vacuum a little bit so there's not dog hair along the edge of the walls. I said, that would take you 30 minutes every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the house would, I said, you're teaching your kids how to live like slobs. And he would say, well, it's not important to me. I said, but you're teaching your kids. I said to her this morning, when you come home from school, you have got to get those clothes picked up off your floor. They need to get put in your drawers. I don't care if they're folded, but they need to get put in your drawers.
When you were a kid,
I had to keep my room picked up.
did mom and dad make you do that?
Yeah.
All the time?
Well, I've been really slack on the kids, but that's because things have been so bad.
Yeah, that's the least of your worries with that.
I didn't want to be the one that was yelling all the time. Worst thing we do is drink. We are social drinkers. I started drinking more, not anymore, but the last year before the divorce, I was working the overnight shift, 4P to 4A. And so when I had a night off, and I probably only had maybe 2 a week, I would drink more, and I think it was because I was unhappy.
Do you ever drink at home?
Huh?
Do you ever drink at home?
I only drink at home.
I didn't know if you or go out with some of the ladies from work or whatever.
No, I'm only drinking at home. I think I did it as a coping mechanism because I was becoming more and more unhappy. And the counselor told me, individual counselor told me, she said, you better be careful. She says, because when people are unhappy, and they'll use things like that as a crutch. And she says that it can become a problem. I went home and got rid of all the vodka in the house.
What did the counselor kind of say? Not about that, but just overall, what was her overall opinion? Did she see any red flags or anything up and did that you can share?
Oh, yeah, of course. You can talk to her. I haven't been back to see her for a while because money was getting a little bit harder to manage. She's $150 an hour. She said Dave wasn't counseling material. That's basically what she said.
based on his attitude, not willing to conform.
Just that she said men can change, but she says,
Not all men can change.
right, small, and she said at 52, she said they have to really have hit so rock bottom and want to change so much that they had to hit the worst part in their life. And so we thought, well, this probably is the worst time in his life. I mean, I understand that my husband thought he loved me. He just didn't love me in a good, healthy way. I understand that I was his life. Though for years and years, I've told him, go out with your friends, go do stuff.
Become social.
Yes.
Don't become just in your fear.
Right. And he had told me recently, in the last week, he had said, my cockiness was only because I had you. And he says, now that I don't have you, I don't have that. Because a couple nights, like a couple Friday nights, I would stay home and watch movies with the kids, and he would leave the house at 9:30 at night, all dressed up. So he was going out somewhere. And that was fine. I was happy for that.
You probably encouraged him to go.
Yes, I did. I said, I'll watch the kids if you want to go out tonight. Go. I would tell him all the time, you guys have to do better. And I did. You know, the point, every generation does better than the generation below you. I said, so your dad has a doctorate, your mom has a master's. Better get moving.
Some high expectations. But reasonable.
Yeah, but
Understandable.
I was never hard on them.
No.
I
It
mean,
sounds like Savannah.
they weren't
already-
allowed to bring home D's.
Mhm.
I think maybe Savannah got one senior all the way.
What made Savannah decide on going to radiology?
She thought it sounded good. And I said to her,
Did you ever talk to her about the field and what it was about?
yeah, I said, I'm going to take you to work and you're going to sit with one of the radiologists that I'm friends with.
Mhm.
And you're going to see that he sits in a dark room all day long looking at stuff. I said, you have way too much personality.
I think she would be better as a PA or something like that.
She could have done anything she wanted.
Was Dr. Snyder the other individual?
He's the medical director in the ER.
Was he who you were involved with?
No.
No.
Oh, this was a different hospital.
Okay.
That's an ER doctor that works now at Ormond, the big glass hospital.
Okay.
No,
Okay. I didn't know. I just wanted to.
I would have told you. No,
Okay, I appreciate that.
The radiologist.
I broke that off.
Right. Okay. Couple tough questions. When you ran from the driveway to the house, what did you see or hear between your trip?
Nothing.
I don't know how far Al lives from you. Is it like a football field? Is it half a football field? Is it?
I was wondering why I didn't hear him remind me, because I would have thought he would run inside to get the gun and come after me.
And you're banging on, then you get the house.
And I kept thinking he's going to be behind me any minute.
Mm-hmm. And
It was pretty quick. I heard the first gunshot.
after you're already at Al's banging on his door, or
Yeah, I was right at the door. Yeah, banging. I couldn't see the doorbell because it's too dark.
all right. That's when you heard us. And then
And then it was the first one, and then it was a little bit longer, but like I thought he was just doing it just to freak me out.
okay. Did you hear one more, two more,
I think 2 more.
6 more, 10 more?
No.
Any?
I just 2 more, but I was inside his house by then, and I'm screaming. Could there have been more? I guess. But I was screaming at Al. I heard gunshots. I said, please come with me. Please come with me.
Can you call in your mind how many you think you heard?
I can only remember hearing 3.
Okay.
1, and then a long pause. A longer pause. And I think 2 more faster. And there had to have been more than that, because there's 3 kids and his. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason for me to be strong. I know you have to do your job and make sure I didn't kill them all.
I know you do. I know
There's
110%.
no reason for me to be strong. There is nothing left for me.
Lauren is in surgery right now. Yes, she is.
She won't make it. I saw her eyes.
But she's still there. We're fighting for her. You know the business. You know how it is. You know.
I fucked up. Oh my God. I underestimated him. I never thought he would do this. I should have left him a long time ago. I cost my kids their lives. They don't ever get to come back. I would rather have just killed me and then just let them. They had their whole lives ahead of them.
I know that's how you feel.
My life is mostly over. There'll be no peace for me ever. I should have picked up the fucking gun and shot him. I was just afraid. All I kept thinking was the kids will never forgive me if I shoot their dad. The kids will never forgive me if I shoot their dad. We stayed in Iowa, where we came from, because he started chiropractor school in Iowa. So we lived there for a year. After South Dakota, we rented the house that we had just bought in South Dakota when he came home and decided he wanted to go back to school. So I packed up the house, worked on getting a job in Iowa, which is where Palmer, their original campus is.
Yeah.
This is just a satellite campus.
Yes.
Got a job, found us an old, cheap farmhouse because I still had the mortgage of the house now that we bought in South Dakota. Found 2 jobs. Got the kids all into schools they liked. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. We lived there for 10 months and I was miserable. Oh my God.
In South Dakota.
No, in Iowa.
Why so?
Well, 20 degrees below zero. Driving home from work and the cows are freezing to death and dying along the side of the road. It's gloomy and overcast. And he was studying all the time and there was nowhere for me to go with the kids and do fun things when I was off. So there was a satellite campus here in Florida. Well, we were both born and raised here and all the grandparents live here. So wouldn't that make sense that we come here and I could be with the grandparents and Disney and Universal and take them to the beach? My kids love the beach.
So did you go to high school here?
In Florida. We're born and raised in Florida, St. Petersburg,
Okay.
on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
We met in St. Pete, JC. No, not in the last 6 months. He stopped disciplining them. He is a military person, so he used to be the disciplinarian.
How would he discipline?
He said my problem was that I was never consistent. So
No, how was his?
Ground him.
Just ground him.
Yeah, my 14-year-old just lost her phone a couple days ago. He took it because she said the F word. I said, no. She said to me, come on, Mom, get my phone back for me. I said, no. You know, we don't say that.
Never any physical things that he would do.
He hit Savannah once when she was like 2 years old, when her brother was a brand new baby, and she poked him in the eye, and he saw it. It was just a reaction, and he's always so regretted it, and he never hit her again. He always said that was such a mistake. To his credit, sure.
Don't forget your contacts. Do you need them? They're in here.
I need to put them in so I
Do you
can
need
see.
it here? Do you need it?
Okay, so that's the end of the police interview. Let me give you some more information about the DCF report that they had. So the DCF elicited a safety plan signed by both parents, a written pledge in which the couple agreed to refrain from family violence. This is the reason why they threw out all the alcohol. Remember she said she removed it from the house? The report was 2 months prior, and in this incident, David grabbed a gun, shot his 3 children, one of them survived, and then he deleted himself. Lauren, the younger sister, was in a coma, but she survived. The judge, during the trial, I'll read this out to you, he said, given all the family's red flags, allegations that Cynthia drank excessively and smacked her children, the description of David as jealous and controlling, the domestic violence report, and the children's disclosure that they were afraid of their mother, DCF should have monitored the family for longer than a month or so. Now in the report, it does detail one of the incidences. So, she drank wine, she had 2 glasses of vodka at a restaurant, and then slapped her son, David Jr., because he told one of his sisters to shut up. She struck David 3 times one night because he resisted going to bed. This is why she had that 2-week restraining order where she was staying in a hotel and with her mom, etc. And the point to me is, despite her shortcomings, she did not deserve what her husband did. And of course, the day in question, she goes downstairs in the kitchen and David is holding a gun. And this is where he's telling her the divorce is not going to go through. That pussy is mine. That's literally what he said to her. So then she runs out to the neighbor, Al. While she's there, she hears pop, pop, pop. Then she runs back and she sees everything. So yes, David Jr. and Savannah and David the father all died. Lauren survived. Comment, tell me what you think.